Welcome to the Special Forces in World War II podcast, transmitting on this frequency. This broadcast is your dedicated channel for comprehensive intelligence regarding World War II Special Forces operations. Our transmissions encompass in-depth analysis of their strategic maneuvers, cutting-edge equipment, illustrious biographies, and an array of pertinent subjects. The orchestration of these transmissions is executed by the expert team of the Special Forces in World War II website, a squad deeply immersed in the historical theatre. For further insights, visual aids, and captured moments frozen in time, navigate to our virtual headquarters at worldwar2-soft.com. Your immersion into the front lines of knowledge awaits. Over and out. Welcome back to another episode of the Special Forces in World War II podcast, where we explore the bold, the daring, and the extraordinary tactics of special and specialized forces in World War II that helped shape the outcome of the greatest conflict in modern history. I'm your host, Michael Wires, and as always, we're here to unravel the hidden stories behind the daring exploits of special and specialized forces in World War II. Before the first shot was fired, before the first landing craft dropped its ramp on the sands of Normandy, there was the preparation. In the spring of 1944, the Allies began building the largest invasion force in history. Men and machines gathered in the ports of southern England. Secrecy was absolute. Camps were sealed. Units were briefed in detail. Every soldier learned his role in the massive operation to come. From the weather forecasts to the tidal charts, from the allocation of ships to the careful sequencing of waves, nothing was left to chance. The assault on Omaha Beach would demand perfect timing, precise coordination between land, sea, and air, and the courage to face a heavily fortified shoreline head-on. This is the story of those final days and hours, the choices, the movements, and the decisions that shaped the opening act of D-Day, the moment before the storm, when all that remained was to go. Its objective is clear: gain a foothold in Nazi-occupied France, break through Hitler's Atlantic Wall, and open the road to Germany. But let's start at the beginning. For the United States Fifth Corps, that foothold lies on an 8-kilometer stretch of sand and shingle between the villages of Vierville and Colleville-sur-Mer. The mission is ambitious: seize a secure beachhead, open the inland road network, and link up with British forces pushing from Gold Beach to the east and American forces advancing from Utah Beach to the west. Omaha Beach is divided into 10 subsectors under 4 principal sectors: Charlie, Dog, Easy, and Fox. From west to east, Charlie 1, Charlie 2, Dog Green, Dog White, Dog Red, Easy Green, Easy Red, Fox Green, and Fox Red. Each lies below steep coastal bluffs, broken only by narrow draws or gullies. These draws are the only viable routes inland for vehicles and heavy weapons. Capturing them is essential. Fifth Corps will land in several coordinated phases. The first assault, Force O, is commanded by Rear Admiral John L. Hall and built around the battle-hardened 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, reinforced to 4 infantry regiments. The 16th and 18th Regimental Combat Teams from the 1st Infantry Division and the 115th and 116th Regimental Combat Teams from the 29th Infantry Division. Supporting Force O is the Provisional Ranger Force, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel James E. Rudder. It is composed of the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions, organized into 3 task groups: Ranger Force A, Companies D, E, and F of the 2nd Ranger Battalion. Their mission is to land west of Omaha Beach, scale the 30-meter cliffs at Point du Hoc, and destroy a German gun battery threatening both Omaha and Utah beaches. Ranger Force B, Company C of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, landing directly on Dog Green Sector alongside the 116th Regimental Combat Team. Their task is to assault and neutralize strongpoints guarding the Vierville Draw. Ranger Force C, the 5th Ranger Battalion, supported by Companies A, B, and C of the 2nd Ranger Battalion. They will land on Dog Red and Easy Green sectors, break through beach defenses, and push inland to link with the other Ranger forces. Force O is backed by artillery, armor, engineers, and specialist demolition units, including the 741st and 743rd Tank Battalions, and the 229th and 146th Engineer Combat Battalions. Navy Combat Demolition Units, working alongside Army engineers in gap assault teams, will clear 16 50-meter wide lanes through mined obstacles at the waterline. In total, Force O will put 34,142 men and more than 3,300 vehicles onto Omaha Beach in the first wave. Overall control of the initial beach landings rests with Major General Clarence Hubner of the 1st Infantry Division. Brigadier General Norman Cotter will come ashore with the 116th Regimental Combat Team, assisting Hubner until Major General Charles Gerhardt takes command of the 29th Infantry Division once it is fully landed. The 1st Infantry Division is a veteran formation, tested in North Africa and Sicily. The 29th Infantry Division, in contrast, will fight its first battle here, on the sands of Omaha Beach. Normandy's coastline offers few natural places for a major amphibious landing. Much of it is marked by high cliffs, treacherous reefs, and wide tidal ranges. The sector assigned to the United States 5th Corps is no exception. Here, the shoreline is broken and steep, with defenses placed to exploit every advantage the terrain offers. At the extreme western edge of the American zone lies the Vire Estuary. Shallow and bordered by exposed reefs, it is unsuitable for large landing craft. West of Grand Camp, the cliffs begin to rise, sheer faces reaching up to 30 meters as they climb toward the headland of Pointe de la Percée. Here stands Widerstands Nest 74, a German strongpoint guarding the very western flank of the Omaha sector. From this high ground, it serves as an artillery observation post, directing fire along the length of the beach. 5 kilometers further west lies one of the most formidable positions in the Atlantic Wall, the battery at Point du Hoc. Its official designation is Stützpunkt 75. It sits atop sheer to overhanging cliffs between 26 and 30 meters high. Below is only a narrow strip of beach, exposed to the sea and without cover for an attacker. The site is almost immune to assault from seaward, and reconnaissance photos reveal that most of its fortifications face inland, a detail confirmed by local French reports. The position is fortified as a self-contained defensive complex. On the landward side, belts of mines and thick wire protect the approaches. On each flank, 2 satellite positions are armed with machine guns and anti-aircraft guns. They are carefully sighted to fire along the beaches beneath the point and to stop any attack from inland. The battery is part of the wider German defensive belt stretching between the Vire and Orne rivers. Responsibility for this sector falls to the 716th Infantry Division. A single company from the 3rd Battalion, 726th Grenadier Regiment, around 125 men, holds the battery and its supporting works. 8 kilometers east of Pointe du Hoc, a second cliff line rises from the sea and stretches toward Port-en-Bessin. Between these 2 cliff lines lies a gentler curve of shoreline, almost 8 kilometers long. This is the chosen landing ground. It will become Omaha Beach. The landing sector itself covers 6.4 kilometers. It is overlooked by steep ground and defended by a chain of fortified positions, Widerstandsnester 60 through 74, each designed to overlap the other's fields of fire. At low tide, the beach is 270 meters deep, its sand firm enough to support heavy loads. The tidal range here reaches 5.5 meters, enough to expose rows of obstacles placed by the German engineers. Mined ramps, steel structures, and heavy Belgian gates stand in 3 staggered lines across the tidal flat, positioned to tear into the hulls of landing craft or detonate beneath them before they can reach shore. Behind these obstacles lie shallow anti-tank ditches, no more than 1.2 meters deep, but enough to trap vehicles during high tide. At the high water mark, a steep shingle bank rises 2.5 meters high and up to 14 meters wide. On the eastern end of the beach, this bank merges with a sand dune overlooked by Widerstandsnest 60 above exit F1 at Colleville. On the western end, it meets a stone sea wall at Vierville-sur-Mer, covered by the guns of Widerstandsnester 71 and 72. Further east, the stone wall changes to timber, backed by a concrete promenade. This road turns into a dirt track beyond exit D3, the Les Moulins draw. That track is in the direct line of fire from Widerstandsnester 66 and 65. Beyond the shingle lies a wide flat, once home to summer villas and the hamlet of Les Moulins. The Germans have demolished them to give their guns an unobstructed view. Widerstandsnest 66 dominiert diese Gegend. Then the ground rises steeply into bluffs between 30 and 52 meters high. At exits D1 and D3, the slopes are at their steepest, topped by the positions of Widerstandsnester 72, 71, and 66. Further east, the gradient softens but still climbs to 50 meters. The slopes here are crowned by Widerstandsnester 65, 64, 63, 62, and 61, all sited above the draws at Saint-Laurent and Colleville. The bluffs are rough, broken, and covered with scrub, offering some intermittent cover but also masking enemy positions. 4 main draws cut through these bluffs, each a potential route inland. Exit D1 at Vierville is the most important, with a paved road running inland, but it lies under direct German fire. Exit D3 at Les Moulins is a dirt track covered by the interlocking fields of fire from Widerstandsnester 66 and 67. Exit E3 at Saint-Laurent and exit E1 at Colleville are covered by Widerstandsnester 64 through 61. At the far eastern end, exit F1 is in the sights of Widerstandsnest 60. Beyond the bluffs lies a rolling plateau, rising to 75 meters near Colleville. Hedgerows, orchards, and small farms limit visibility and channel movement. The villages of Vierville, Saint-Laurent, and Colleville all sit near these exits and must be seized early in the battle. Each village is supported by inland German strongpoints under the command of the 352nd Infantry Division. 3 kilometers inland lies the Our River Valley, flowing east to west. The Germans have flooded the land west of Trevière. 2 hills, Trevière and Montcauvin, rise 60 meters above the valley and dominate the approaches inland, likely linked to the positions of Widerstandsnester 62 and 63. Further inland still, the ground rises toward the Cerisy Forest, 120 meters high and just 19 kilometers from the coast. The forest provides excellent cover for artillery. To the west and southwest, a peninsula lies between the Vier estuary and the Our River. 15 kilometers across, it contains German artillery, defenses, and command posts. The main highway from Caen to Cherbourg passes through Isigny-sur-Mer. Its capture will link V Corps with 7 Corps landing at Utah Beach. The railway from Caen to Cherbourg runs just south of the Our. Taking it is essential for the British Second Army operating to the east. The entire Norman countryside here is the bocage. small fields enclosed by hedgerows 3 meters high, often topped with trees or stone walls. Each field boundary is a potential fortress. Visibility is poor, movement is slow, and tanks cannot easily cross. Infantry advance in small groups, often isolated from one another. In 1944, the villages retain their Norman stone architecture, built from local limestone in a Romanesque style. Deep cellars make ready-made shelters or firing positions. Narrow lanes link these settlements. In the months before D-Day, the Germans declared the entire coastal strip a restricted zone, 8 to 24 kilometers deep. Only fishermen and farmers, under guard, are allowed to move within it. Omaha's 4 main draws are the only routes inland for heavy vehicles. Only Vierville's D1 draw is paved. The others must be quickly improved before they can carry the weight of men and material the invasion requires. Normandy's climate is mild but unpredictable. The wettest region in northern France lies just to the west, in the Manche department. Rain turns the low-lying ground to mud, especially in the Auray Valley. Cloud cover and fog often hamper flying, though May to July usually offers the best weather. In June, daylight stretches from before 4 in the morning until nearly 11 at night. These long hours give Allied air power time to dominate the skies and deny the Germans the cover of darkness to move unseen. By early 1944, the Allies have forged an effective joint force, land, sea, and air elements operating under one unified strategic command. When General Dwight D. Eisenhower assumes control, he tasks his deputy, Air Chief Marshal Sir Arthur Tedder, with a critical job: unify the air strategy for the coming invasion. Tedder, working alongside Air Chief Marshal Sir Trafford Lee Mallory, commander of the Allied Expeditionary Air Force, develops a plan to secure air superiority, disrupt German movements, and provide direct support to the landings and the wider campaign. The air plan unfolds in 4 phases. First, interdiction and reconnaissance. Allied aircraft target German air and naval forces in the Channel, scout invasion routes, and track enemy movements. Second, preparation. Beginning in March 1944. Bombers strike fortresses, air bases, transport hubs, and radar sites. 2/3 of these raids deliberately fall outside Normandy, part of a deception plan to keep the enemy guessing about the true invasion site. Third and fourth, the invasion and the Battle of Normandy. During these phases, the skies over the beaches are to be filled with Allied fighters, protecting the fleet, escorting bombers, and delivering close air support to the troops ashore. More than 5,000 fighters will be committed to this task. A key part of the strategy is the transportation plan. This cripples the French railway network, cutting traffic to 30% of its 1943 levels and destroying vital bridges and routes into Normandy. These attacks delay German reinforcements and, combined with diversionary bombing, confuse enemy intelligence. Tedder faces resistance from advocates of pure strategic bombing, but he wins the argument, integrating both strategic and tactical air forces under one operational plan. His approach forces the Luftwaffe into battle before D-Day, wearing them down. Between January and June 1944, the Germans lose 2,262 pilots. Many of their remaining aircraft are pulled inland, far from the invasion area. By the morning of June 6, 1944, the skies over the beaches will belong to the Allies. German air presence will be minimal. Air bombardment plays a vital role in the lead-up to D-Day. Coastal batteries across the entire Operation Neptune area are struck, with particular attention north of the Seine. At Omaha Beach, these pre-invasion attacks are intended to smash enemy gun positions and break defender morale. One of the priority targets is the German battery at Pointe du Hoc. Bombed by Allied aircraft on April 15, 1944, May 22, 1944, and again on June 4, 1944, just 2 days before the landings. In the hours before the landings, the Allies plan to unleash the final phase of the pre-invasion bombardment. At Pointe du Hoc, the Royal Air Force begins its last attack just after midnight. Heavy bombers sweep along the coast from the Seine to Cherbourg. Between midnight and dawn, 1,333 aircraft drop 5,316 tons of bombs. As the fleet closes in on Normandy, the air strikes intensify. From H-30 to H-5 minutes, heavy bombers of the U.S. 8th Air Force attack German defenses between the Vire and the Orne rivers. In the 5th Corps sector, 480 B-24 Liberators drop 1,285 tons of bombs on 13 target areas. 11 of these lie between Pointe de la Percée and the eastern edge of Omaha Beach, covering every major strongpoint. Most of the bombs are 45-kilogram fragmentation and high-explosive types, designed to shred enemy positions without gouging deep craters into the sand. Some 225-kilogram bombs are reserved for key fortifications. All are fitted with instantaneous fuses to avoid wrecking the beach surface the assault troops will need to cross. At Pointe du Hoc, 18 medium bombers from the U.S. 9th Air Force make their final run between H-20 and H-5 minutes. At the same time, other medium bombers strike Maisy, while fighter bombers hit targets at Maisy and Jafos-Fontenay. Then, at H-40 minutes, the naval guns open up. The battleships USS Texas and USS Arkansas, firing from 16.5 kilometers offshore, unleash their 356mm and 127mm guns on Pointe du Hoc and the strongpoints guarding exit D3. In less than 40 minutes, they fire around 600 heavy shells. 3 cruisers, each armed with 152mm guns, pound Port-en-Bessin and the defenses at draws D3 and E1 with 950 rounds. Closer in, 8 destroyers, just 1,650 meters from the flanks of the landing area, pour in 2,000 shells. Additional fire support craft join the attack. 5 landing craft gun large, each mounting 2 47mm guns, begin firing at H-20 minutes. 630 rounds aimed at selected strongpoints. 16 landing craft tank, in armored and high-explosive configurations, carry tanks set to fire over their ramps. At H-15 minutes, from a range of 2,750 meters, each gun is allocated 150 rounds. 10 landing craft Tank 5s carry 105mm self-propelled howitzers of the 58th and 62nd Armored Field Artillery Battalions. They begin at 7,300 meters, closing to 3,400 meters by H-5 minutes, each gun allotted 100 rounds. 9 rocket-armed landing craft tank move to 2,750 meters offshore. As the first assault wave comes within 275 meters of the beach, they fire 1,000 high-explosive rockets each, drenching the defenses in a sheet of explosions. This is a coordinated storm of fire, directed against every strongpoint in the Omaha sector, including those that can rake the beaches from the flanks. The Pointe du Hoc battery is hit from both air and sea. At H-hour, the plan calls for naval fire to shift inland, striking suspected enemy assembly areas. 24 naval shore fire control parties, 1 for each assault battalion in the 2 divisions, stand ready to direct fire where it's needed most. High-performance spotting aircraft will remain on station until H+5 hours. Fire Support Group 1, a battleship, cruiser, and 4 destroyers, covers the 29th Infantry Division. Fire Support Group 2, a battleship, 2 cruisers, and 4 destroyers, supports the 1st Infantry Division. By the time the ramps drop, every weapon the Allies can bring to bear has been aimed at the German defenses. Whether it will be enough, that will be decided in the next few minutes. The air and naval bombardment are designed to weaken the German beach defenses. But the real breakthrough must come from the assault landing teams. These are specialist formations, trained and equipped for combat on the beach itself. Every unit, down to the smallest squad, has a precise mission within a defined sector. Omaha Beach is divided into sectors and subsectors. 6 of these subsectors form the main landing area. The 1st Infantry Division will attack with 2 regiments abreast. On the eastern side, the sectors Easy Red and Fox Green, together about 2,700 meters wide, the 16th Regimental Combat Team will land with 2 battalion landing teams abreast. Its support battalion will come ashore on Easy Red at H plus 70 minutes. On the 4 western subsectors, Dog Green, Dog White, Dog Red, and Easy Green, also totaling about 2,700 meters, the 116th Regimental Combat Team will attack with 2 battalion landing teams abreast. Its support battalion will land on the 3 eastern subsectors. The 116th is part of the 29th Infantry Division, but for the assault, it is attached to the 1st Infantry Division. Attached to the 116th is the Provisional Ranger Force, 2 battalions of 6 companies each. They have special missions on the right flank. Ranger Force A, 3 companies of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, will land 5 kilometers west of Omaha at Point du Hoc. Their mission: scale the 30-meter cliffs and destroy a German gun battery. Ranger Force B, 1 company of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, will land just west of the 116th near exit D1 and assault German positions at Pointe de la Percée. Ranger Force C, the 5th Ranger Battalion plus the remaining companies of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, will follow to Pointe du Hoc if Force A succeeds by H plus 30 minutes. If not, they will land on Dog Green at H plus 70 and fight overland to the point. The landing schedule is carefully designed. H hour is set, so the first wave will land just after dawn, with the tide low enough to expose the underwater obstacles. Troops must cross hundreds of meters of open sand, but engineers will have time to blast lanes before high tide. At H-5 minutes, Companies B and C of the 743rd Tank Battalion, amphibious DD tanks, will come ashore on Dog White and Dog Green. Launched 5.5 kilometers offshore, they will fire at German fortifications, especially those covering exit D1. As the tide rises, they will move through the obstacles, support the infantry, and help clear exit D3. At H hour, 8 landing craft tank will land Company A of the 743rd Tank Battalion on Easy Green and Dog Red. They will perform the same role, accompanied by 8 tank dozers towing explosive trailers for obstacle demolition. At H plus 1 minute, the 1st Infantry Wave lands. 4 companies, each in 6 landing craft vehicle personnel, organized into boat sections. Company A will hit Dog Green, leading the 1st Battalion's attack on exit D-1. Companies E, F, and G will land further east. Each boat section has a specific task to reduce beach defenses in its zone, paving the way for the engineers. Between H plus 3 and H plus 8 minutes, the Gap Assault Teams and Special Engineer Task Force arrives in 13 landing craft medium. For the 116th Sector, the 146th Engineer Combat Battalion provides 8 assault teams, 4 support teams, and a control section. 11 of the teams include naval combat demolition units, 1 officer and 12 men each. Their job is to clear and mark 8 45-meter lanes through the obstacles, 2 per subsector. Tank dozers push or tow away obstacles, while demolition teams blast and clear mines. They have 30 minutes for clearance before high tide. From H plus 30 minutes, 5 more waves bring in the rest of the assault battalions and supporting units, including battalion and regimental headquarters, 2 companies of the 81st Chemical Weapons Battalion, and engineers from the 112th and 121st Combat Battalions. Advance elements of the Provisional Engineer Special Brigade Group, commanded by Brigadier General William M. Hoge, land with this wave. Once the assault engineers move inland, this brigade takes over beach operations and logistics. By H+90 to H+120 minutes, artillery will come ashore. The 58th Armored Field Artillery Battalion lands after firing in the preliminary bombardment. DUKWs will bring in the 111th Field Artillery Battalion, the 467th Anti-Aircraft Automatic Weapons Battalion, and the anti-tank and cannon companies of the 116th Regimental Combat Team. Larger vehicles follow from H+180 minutes. Cranes, recovery tanks, half-tracks, and trucks, rhino ferries, and DUKWs will be vital to moving this equipment ashore. The 16th Regimental Combat Team will land on Easy Red and Fox Green under a similar plan, supported by Companies B and C of the 741st Tank Battalion. Company A of the 741st will land on the boundary between sectors. Engineer and artillery support will match the 116th's timetable. At H+195 minutes, the 18th Regimental Combat Team will land on Easy Red. The 115th RCT will come in behind the 116th under Corps orders, initially under the 1st Division's control. The two assault regimental combat teams must break the German strongpoints within the first 2 hours, opening the exit draws for vehicle traffic by H+3 hours. Companies from each battalion will then assemble about 900 meters inland before pushing to their objectives. In the 16th Regimental Combat Team Zone, the 2nd Battalion will seize Colville and hold the high ground south to block counterattacks from Trevière or Bayeux. The 3rd Battalion will clear the bluff eastwards to Saint-Honorine-des-Pertes, then occupy Mount Cauvin to guard the eastern flank. The 1st Battalion, in reserve, will pass through to capture Formigny and secure the river crossings near Trevière. The 18th Regimental Combat Team will advance southeast of Colville, cross the Our, and hold the heights east of Trevière, patrolling to the D-Day phase line. The 26th Regimental Combat Team, landing later, will defend the area southeast of Tours-en-Bessin and link with the British 50th Infantry Division. On the western flank, 29th Infantry Division units will secure the ground between the Our and the sea. The 1st Battalion will take Vierville, clear the coastal strip toward the Vire estuary with the Rangers, and prepare to capture Isigny to link with 7th Corps. The 2nd Battalion will take Saint-Laurent and the high ground beyond. The 3rd Battalion, in support, will advance through Longueville to the ridge west of town. The 115th Regimental Combat Team will mop up remaining beach defenses if required, then push through Longueville to La Carme and establish outposts south of the Aure. The 175th Regimental Combat Team, in Corps Reserve, will land on D+1. Artillery support includes 5 battalions of 105mm howitzers moving forward with the infantry. Naval fire control teams are embedded with the battalions to call in supporting fire. If all goes according to plan, V Corps will push south of the Auray toward the Cerisy Forest and west to Isigny to link with 7 Corps. No major push beyond the Vire is planned. The main objective is to force the German retreat from Carentan by advancing south. With the assault plans complete, 5th Corps receives its warning order on March the 23rd, 1944. The clock is ticking toward the largest amphibious invasion in history. Allied planners have been working for months to find the right day, and the choice of D-Day is governed by a delicate balance of requirements. 5 separate landing zones must be supplied and supported, each with its own navigational hazards and tactical challenges. Air operations need long daylight hours. A full moon is required to guide the fleet at night and light the drop zones for airborne troops. The tides must work in the Allies' favor. Low tide to expose the German beach obstacles, high tide to let landing craft unload further up the shore. Our has its own demands: 1 hour of daylight before the landings to improve bombardment accuracy and allow the assault craft to form up. The tide should be mid-flood, high enough to land, low enough to keep obstacles visible, and rising to provide two high tides during daylight for unloading supplies. Only 3 date ranges meet all these conditions: May 21st to 23rd, June 5th to 7th, and June 19th to 21st. The planners fix on June 1st as their target date, with the invasion to go ahead at the first available window. On May 7th, 1944, British intelligence intercepts a signal from the Japanese naval attaché in Berlin to Tokyo. The message confirms what Allied commanders have long suspected. General Feldmarschall Erwin Rommel intends to crush any invasion at the water's edge, destroying the assault force on the beaches before it can break inland. That same day, movement to the marshalling areas begins. By May 11th, 1944, the 18th and 19th districts of the Southern Base Section have processed 65,000 troops and 7,600 vehicles. Once inside the camps, the men are sealed in. There will be no contact with the outside world until the invasion is launched. Here, they are issued their final equipment, live ammunition, and detailed briefings on their objectives. On May 8, 1944, General Dwight D. Eisenhower makes his decision. D-Day will be June 5, 1944. All the months of planning and preparation now have a fixed point in time. Every movement, every embarkation schedule, every supply convoy will work backward from that date. Under cover of darkness of May 27, 1944, German aircraft drop mines into the approaches to Weymouth. A few small vessels are lost, but the attack is limited. German reconnaissance flights continue, but they see nothing unusual. To the enemy, life along the southern coast of England appears almost routine. In reality, the largest invasion force in history is now only days from sailing. From June 1st, 1944, the Allied troops start embarking the vessels that will bring them to Normandy. By June 3rd, 1944, all elements of Force O are loaded onto their ships. For some units, it will be days before they step ashore. They will remain aboard, waiting for the order to sail. Enemy air activity is light. Rear Admiral Alan Kirk commands the Western Naval Task Force, while Rear Admiral John Hall leads Force O, the force assigned to Omaha Beach. The scale of this movement is staggering. To land the first wave, 34,000 men and 3,300 vehicles requires 7 transport ship, 8 landing ship infantry, 24 landing ship tank, 33 landing craft infantry, 36 landing craft medium, 147 landing craft tank, and numerous smaller landing and support craft. Supporting them are 2 battleships, 3 cruisers, 12 destroyers, and more than 100 other gunfire support vessels. Mine sweeping and service work alone calls for 33 sweepers and 585 auxiliary craft. By this point, the weather becomes the greatest variable. The latest forecast brought to General Eisenhower is not encouraging. Overcast skies, strong winds. The invasion may not be able to go on schedule. At 4:15 in the morning of June 4th, 1944, General Dwight D. Eisenhower makes the call. D-Day is postponed by 24 hours. 1 convoy division is already at sea and must be recalled. The southern ports are now crammed to capacity. Landing ship tanks and other craft are jammed with vehicles, equipment, and men. In some cases, M29 Weasels haul loaded trailers across ramps and piers to get everything aboard. German aircraft fail to disrupt the operation. 1 day later, on June 5, 1944, the latest forecast offers a narrow window of improvement. Cloud ceilings could rise to 900 meters and the sea may moderate slightly. After that, conditions are expected to worsen again. Delaying to June 7th risks running straight into bad weather. Fuel shortages threaten vessels already in the channel. Waiting for the next optimal combination of tides and moonlight means standing down until June 19th, an unacceptable delay. At 4:15, Eisenhower decides. The invasion will go ahead on June 6, 1944. H-hour for Omaha Beach is set for 6:30 a.m. Low tide will be at 5:25 a.m., high tide at 11 a.m. Sunrise is 5:58 a.m., sunset at 10 p.m. In the afternoon, the main convoy of Force O departs Portland. The 160-kilometer channel crossing is calm and unopposed. Enemy naval and air forces remain inactive. Spitfires fly low over the shipping lanes. P-47 Thunderbolts from the 8th and 9th Air Forces patrol above them continuously. As dawn breaks on June 6, 1944, the assault beaches lie under continuous Allied air cover. The U.S. 9th Air Force assigns 5 fighter groups to maintain presence over the beaches. The Royal Air Force provides low cover. Minesweepers of the Western Naval Task Force make an immense contribution. Their work ensures that not a single Allied ship is lost to mines during the approach. At 2:51, Admiral Hall's flagship, USS Ancon, also serving as General Gero's command ship, drops anchor 21 kilometers off Omaha Beach. Sea conditions have improved since the weekend, but they are still far from ideal. Visibility is about 16 kilometers under a partial overcast, enough to hamper bombing accuracy. A steady northwest wind blows at 10 to 18 knots. In the transport area, waves average between 1 and 1.2 meters, with peaks reaching 1.8. On the beach, breakers reach 1.2 meters. These conditions will persist through D-Day and into the following day, hampering every aspect of landing operations. Landing craft struggle to hold course. Troops are delayed, some waves are scattered. The rough sea will affect every stage of the assault. From the transport area to the shore, the movement is governed by a complex timetable. Hundreds of landing craft must operate in synchrony, delivering their troops in precise order. The sequence begins 3 to 4 hours before H-hour. And this concludes today's episode. For months, the Allies have planned, trained, and assembled the greatest invasion force in history. From the selection of the date to the sealing of the marshalling camps, from the careful loading of every vehicle, weapon, and ration, to the constant adjustment for weather and tide. Every detail has been calculated to give the assault a fighting chance. Now the ships are in position. The landing craft are ready. The men, soldiers, sailors, and airmen wait in the darkness, surrounded by the roar of engines and the smell of fuel, their minds turning over the orders they have memorized. Ahead lies a narrow stretch of sand, backed by bluffs bristling with guns, a place already etched into the Allied plan under a single name, Omaha. In just a few hours, they will leave the relative safety of the transports, descend into the tossing landing craft, and head for shore. The months of preparation are over. The next step is the most dangerous of all. At first light on June 6, 1944, the assault on Omaha Beach will begin. For more information about the preparations for the assault on Omaha Beach, visit www.worldwar2-sof.com. There you'll find photographs, videos, maps, and documents on the topic. If you enjoy reading about this history, we recommend Omaha Beach, D-Day, June 6, 1944, by Joseph Balkowski. Beyond the Beachhead, the 29th Infantry Division in Normandy, by the same author. The Dead and Those About to Die, D-Day, The Big Red One, at Omaha Beach, by John C. McManus. These works have been key sources in our research for this episode. Thank you for listening to the Special Forces in World War II podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing and leaving a review. Your support helps us continue to bring you more stories of courage, daring, and the unsung heroes of World War II. Be sure to tune in next time as we dive into yet another remarkable operation that helps shape the outcome of the war. Until then, keep your wits sharp, your courage steady, and remember, sometimes the most incredible victories come from the unlikeliest of places. See you in the next episode. I'm your host, Michael Wires, signing off. And that concludes this mission briefing, fellow warriors of knowledge. We've navigated through the trenches of information, delving deep into the battlefields of history. As we wrap up this episode in our campaign for understanding, remember that knowledge is your most potent weapon. Stay vigilant and keep sharpening your intellectual arsenal. We'll rendezvous again for another episode, continuing our relentless pursuit of enlightenment. Until then, keep your mind sharp, your curiosity burning, and your determination unwavering. Simultaneously, you are hereby alerted to our outposts on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, fortifying our information dissemination. Should you possess any pertinent intelligence to bolster our mission, transmit your findings with no hesitation. Your contributions shall be prominently acknowledged within the operational archives. Furthermore, for those prepared to provide substantial reinforcement, navigate to our Patreon forward base and enlist. Your support is integral to sustaining our forward thrust. Carry forth the legacy. Dismissed.